Hey everyone, it's Pam, and I'm here with my monthly update video letting you know everything that I was up to in the month of October. So October was a bit of an interesting month, very stressful, not great personally. It was my birthday at the beginning of the month, and it was memorable in a very shitty kind of way, but things are sort of getting better now and moving forward. Sorry for being a bit cagey about things, but yeah, it was just a bad month overall, and I'm looking forward to November, even though it's now cold and winter and everything's going to be terrible and daylight savings just happened. But still, trying to be positive. Another thing I did in October, on the 30th, I think, the Video Game History Foundation had a live stream with Ron Gilbert, who is one of the creators of The Secret of Monkey Island, and they were going over some deleted footage and some sort of stories about LucasArts and creating the Monkey Island games with him. That was very, very cool. There was a lot of people in the chat, Noah Falstein was in the chat, which was neat. I really wanted to be watch my dig video, but I'm bad at self-promotion, so I just didn't say anything instead. But it was a really cool live stream. If you can support the foundation at all, it's a really good cause aiming to preserve video games, not just the games themselves, but the sort of materials and backstories and cut content and all the things around them. There was a really cool demonstration of live editing in the Scum engine, which was really neat, and there were some cool stories. So I'm happy I went to that. It sort of inspired me to get working a little more on a LucasArts video I've sort of had in the works for a little while. So I've got a shout out for this month, and my shout out is Boulder Punch. This is a channel I just discovered a couple months ago, back when I was doing a lot of reading and talking about Blasphemous and other Metroidvanias. This is a channel that focuses on a few specific genres, immersive sims, Metroidvanias, stealth, and survival horror, so all kinds of good things. The videos tend to be about why or how certain games stand the test of time. So there's a lot of looking at analyzing and video essays on really good games like Bloodlines or System Shock, Deus Ex, things like that. Really good selection of games, and then occasionally there are some newer games and indie games as well. They're very well spoken, well written, and I just like the videos overall. They're in depth while at the same time they're not too long. A couple of recent ones that I've liked are a video essay on Alien Isolation and sort of why that game works so well. That's one of those games where I actually don't want to play it myself because it looks too scary, but I love reading about it and hearing other people talk about it. And there was also a couple videos on immersive sims in the indie sphere and some games that have come out lately that follow the sort of immersive sim genre. Really good videos. I suggest you check them out. Boulder Punch is just nearing 1,000 subscribers, so go on, check it out, see if you can push him over 1,000, and yeah, go check out Boulder Punch. So my stack of pickups for this month is smaller than it has been in the last little while, and will probably continue to be so. First thing I got is Adventures of Dino Ricky on NES. I'm pretty sure I saw this on a John Riggs video. He was ranking all of the Hudson Soft games, and this is one of the ones he talked about, and it looked pretty cool, so I got this. It's a fairly inexpensive one. Another thing I got that I was looking forward to came out just before my birthday is Crash Bandicoot 4. It's about time. I've played a couple hours of this. I've really been sort of jumping around games all month. I've been unable to really focus on any one, but this is very much a Crash Bandicoot game. If you like the original trilogy, you will probably like this. It's still very challenging, very pixel perfect, and the sort of point of view sometimes makes the platforming challenging, but it's still very fun and very sort of charming, and there's a couple other characters that you can play as in this one of which I really like the sort of movement and combat style of. And yeah, looking forward to playing more of this. If you wanted more Crash, it is definitely more Crash. And the last thing I got, this was just recommended to me in the comments recently, and this is As Your Dreams on the PS1. Sorry for the glare. Someone was talking about this and it just sounded really cool. It's like a roguelike sort of dungeon crawler, town builder, monster collector, sort of all kinds of genres in one, and it just sounded really interesting, so I decided to give it a try. I haven't actually played it yet, but I will soon. So now on to what I've been playing. As I said, I've kind of been jumping between things, just playing like 20 different games, but completing very few things. However, one thing I really want to talk about is something I have been anticipating for over a year now, and that is Hades. Hades is the latest game by Supergiant Games, who have made Bastion, Transistor, and Pyre before. They're one of my favorite developers for sure. Bastion is one of my favorite games ever, and I was very excited when I heard that they were making a roguelike where you're trying to get out of Hades. But the problem was they put it in early access, which by all accounts was a very successful thing to do, getting player feedback to incorporate and make the game better, but I just have a personal thing where I don't play games in early access. I feel like if you want me to test your game for you, you're going to need to pay me to do that. So I waited until this last month when it finally came out and I picked it up for a Nintendo Switch. So Hades really has all the hallmarks of Supergiant Games. Beautiful, beautiful artwork and character portraits. Amazing, amazing music. I'm definitely going to want to pick up the soundtrack to this one as well. And it also has a gameplay and combat style that I like more than I have in their last two games. Transistor and Pyre went, a little outside of the usual to try to like change up gameplay, which I think is really good. I like when game developers have ambition, but it just feels a little cozier and more comfortable, a more sort of standard top-down action kind of combat. It's much more similar to Bastion than previous games. I really like the story. The whole concept is that you are playing Zagreus, the son of Hades, who has discovered that the person he thought was his mother isn't really, and his mother is actually out of Hades somewhere. So he wants to escape, and it's basically a roguelike, so every time you're trying to get through hell, there's 3 or 4 different levels, there's all kinds of different monsters and bosses that you have to go through, and each time you sort of level up and learn things that will help you on your next attempt. And along the way, you also meet all of the gods from Olympus who learn about you and all sort of like want to be your favorite aunt or uncle and help you. They give you boons, and you can choose from a list of 3 boons of like which one you want to do. So you have like a different build for every run, and it's all just like really, really well done. The characters are also really great. There's a lot of dialogue. I've still not sort of run out of it. I've done probably 50 runs at this point, and every time I talk to someone in the House of Hades or who I meet along the way, they have something new to say to me. The artwork, as I said, is just beautiful. All the characters are super, super hot. Apparently you can date people at some point. I haven't gotten to the point where I can do that yet, but it's just really good, really charming. I absolutely love all the characters. The gameplay is excellent. You've got like 6 different weapons that you can choose from, and they all feel quite different, and with all the different boons from the gods, every run is a little different, and like your strategy and everything, so it really never gets stale. Now the problem I have with the game is that I am a person who likes to get to the end of the game and then move on to the next game, and I have reached the end of it. I have defeated the final boss, but even if you do that, you basically go back to the start again, and I read that you need to actually defeat the final boss 10 times in order to get credits, and that's a little daunting for me, honestly, because it's still quite challenging, even though I've beat it once. The boss on the 3rd level is very hard and is still not like a guaranteed win for me. The final boss is also very difficult, and I just like find my interest lowering and lowering as I go. Like, I don't know if I'm actually going to beat it the 10 times necessary to get credits, even though there's lots of stuff still to do and I'd like to follow some storylines. It's just, I don't know, something in my head says like, you've done this, you've beaten the last boss, it's time to turn this off and play something else now. I was the exact same way playing like Diablo 3. Like once I beat Diablo for the first time, I was like, okay, I beat the game, when that's not really what you're supposed to do. There's like seasons, and you go and you do it on different higher difficulties, and just that's never really appealed to me. I just want to like finish the story and then, you know, be finished. So yeah, I don't know if I'm going to continue on to try to get those 10 final boss kills in order to finish the game. I might turn on God mode, which is sort of like an easy mode they have where every time you die you get a little more damage reduction, just because I feel like I have already defeated it once. Like I feel fine with that. I would kind of like it to be a bit easier and take a little less time than it otherwise would. So that's one option for me. But overall, it's just a fantastic game. And even if you just want to beat it like 1 or 2 times, it'll probably take a while unless you're fantastic at video games. But yeah, the whole keep playing this game forever bit is just not something that super appeals to me. So the game that I actually finished this month is called Astrologaster, which is a very cool game about being a doctor, sort of in the time of Shakespeare. There's a plague going on. You play this man who treats people by reading the stars, so they tell him what is wrong with them and he can give them some kind of treatment. And it was just so charming. It is very musical, so when each character is introduced, there's like a little song about them, and it's very, very cute. As soon as I turned this game on, I honestly had the biggest smile on my face. It was such a delightful little surprise. Aside from the little musical numbers, the whole game also appears like a pop-up book, and it's just very, very nice. It's also really funny. I love humor in games when like games really lean into the humor, and it's just very sort of sarcastic, and it's got this great sense of humor. I mean, it takes a lot of the stuff from like, you know, the social norms in the time of Shakespeare and sort of making fun of them a little bit and sort of forming relationships with the patients that are coming to see you and sort of discovering everyone's little secrets and everything like that. So yeah, if you're looking for something a little bit different, I mean, I guess it's more of a narrative adventure than anything. You're just like reading the stars and choosing which star reading to take and use for like your prescription towards these people after listening to their story. But it's just very, very charming, and only a few hours long. I believe it was just added to Game Pass, but on PC only. And yeah, very worth playing if you're looking for something that's just very charming and a little different. Another game that I've put some time into, even though I haven't finished it yet, I'm honestly just trying to come up with other things to talk about in this video, is Songbird Symphony. This is something I picked up on the Switch a couple months ago, and it is a sort of rhythm game platformer. You play this adorable little bird whose name is Burb, and he grew up raised by peacocks, but he realizes at some point that he himself is not a peacock, and he wants to go out into the world and find out sort of where he came from. And it's all just very, very adorable. He's a very nice character. He always wants to help people. He finds a little egg companion at some point to travel around with. And it combines rhythm game with very simple platforming. So you go around the world, you'll find places that you can't access yet because you don't have the notes or whatever to get to, and you'll find like platforms and things, and in order to raise the platforms, you need to do like a little rhythm memorization timing sequence to do it. It's fairly simple on that part. And then when you get to the like real rhythm sections, like boss battles almost, it gets a lot more complex, almost very difficult, although the difficulty doesn't really matter because it doesn't matter how well you do. But I do have some problems with the rhythm sections. First of all, they're very, very long. Second of all, the way the notes are presented to you is a bit all over the place. Like, they'll come around in a circle, or they'll be falling from the sky, but they'll also be flashing so you can't see them the whole time that they're coming, and it ends up being rather complicated. And the other problem I have is completely a personal thing, but as someone who plays Xbox more than anything, seeing button prompts that are just the letter usually confuses me, because if you ask me how a controller looks, I'm going to tell you how an Xbox controller looks, and everything is backward on the Switch, so it causes me to get more notes wrong than I would like. But it's just a very charming game. Again, I've been enjoying things that are just kind of cute and on the easier side lately, and I do really like the story and the aesthetic and everything, even if I find that the sort of boss rhythm fights are not terribly well executed. And a couple more things, just little things. I played Among Us. Everyone has been talking about Among Us lately, so I played with some friends one night, and it is very interesting. I mean, as a game, there's really not a whole lot to it, but it's one of those games where you sort of bring your own fun, and it's about who you're playing with. When I played, we were all on voice chat together and video together, so I think we probably gave away more than we should have. But it was interesting. It's fun to try to murder your friends in space, because you can't do that in real life. So Among Us was a fun one. And I also played the new Jackbox, Jackbox 7. Those games are always fun. There's a new game, which I forget what it's called, but you're basically having to do a PowerPoint presentation, and you have a assistant who picks the pictures that are going to be presented as you're talking, and that was really hilarious. I think that was one of the most fun new games in this 7th edition of Jackbox. So yeah, I think that is it for October. Alright everyone, that's it. Leave me a comment, let me know what you've been playing, if you've gotten any interesting pickups lately, if you have any recommendations for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.